Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buddhist Meditator, and I'm Lama Dawa Zangpo. I'm a traditionally trained Lama in the Kagyu tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. And we're here to discuss Buddhist meditation, but just as importantly, the context that meditation occurs within. And we've been doing this for a few months now. We're joined by Tal, who is a beginning meditator and pretty new to the Buddhist path. And he brings some very good beginner's mind type of questions. So we never script this. This is all kind of off the cuff and rather spontaneous. So if you don't mind us being a little rough around the edges at time, that's what you get, and we hope this meets your needs. I'm really trying to address the person who is relatively new to Dharma, to Buddhism, to the Buddhist path, and is using that as their context to embark on the journey of meditation. So that's what we're doing here. We invite you to participate however you would like. I'd love to have you submit questions, comments, if there's a topic you would like to hear about or more about in more detail. If anything is unclear, please ask, and I'm happy to clear it up for you if I can. And we'd really like to have some people on Zoom with us. So if you're not camera shy and you'd like to participate, you are warmly invited and welcome to join us. We are the BuddhistMeditator.com, I believe. Is that right? Or no, the BuddhistMeditator@gmail.com.
There you go.
Is what it is. So that's how they reach us, Tal. Is that correct?
Yes. They just
email
us.
An email address? Is that an email address?
That's our email address, yeah.
Okay. I'm a low-tech person, so you could probably tell by my trying to figure this out. So anyway, that's it as far as introduction goes. I'm going to turn it to Tal to start us off by asking a question or two, and we'll go from here.
So first, smash the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and please, please, please comment. And of course, you can email us at thebuddhistmeditator@gmail.com. And we'll get back to you and try to add you to the next chat if you are interested. My question today is, how does one start with meditation? What are some of the beginning steps? What are the posture? Just to finish my thought on the idea is, how should someone sit? What should they be focusing on? And things surrounding that.
Wow, that's not a small question. And actually, for the viewers, this is we've been coming at this from different directions and angles and pieces of this for many months now, actually. So it's going to be a rather daunting task to try to comprehensively answer this in one fell swoop, in one sitting. There's so much to be said about this. So the Buddhist path is quite vast. And I guess I should start by saying many people just want to learn how to meditate. And I don't teach just meditation, and there's a couple good reasons for that. First of all, there's many schools of meditation, many traditions. Many of you probably have already dabbled or have practiced meditation in the past. You can get that all over the place, all over the web. You can get it from your local yoga studio. You can get it all kinds of places. But in the Buddhist tradition, there is a whole context. There's a body of teachings. There's a worldview, if you could say. There's a perspective, and it's important to learn what those things are and kind of keep them in mind. They enhance the meditation, and then it's a two-way street. The meditation enhances our understanding. So here's what I've said in the past. Meditation, for many people, especially in the West, we want to get rid of our migraine headaches, or we want to lower our blood pressure. We want to kind of let our stress of the day sort of dissolve a little bit. And so we think meditation's another tool that can help me do those kinds of things. It's like getting a good massage, mental massage, or a hot bath, or a vacation in Bali. So meditation is sort of your daily trip to Bali. And that's fine. But Buddhism is not just about getting rid of our migraine headaches. It's actually about sort of the journey to reaching our ultimate potential as a human being, which is way beyond just being a human being who's free of headaches. In other words, the context is we are confused. We start with an acknowledgement of our confusion, that we don't have all the answers. If we did, we wouldn't be looking for solutions like meditation or tools. It's about understanding our mind, how the mind works, how our thought process is, how our thoughts work, how they affect our experience of the world, both the external world, things we encounter in our day-to-day lives, and our internal landscape of kind of who we are, how we feel about ourselves, our confidence, our lack of confidence, our inner stress levels, all those things that keep us. We all have a sense that we're not everything we possibly could be. There's more, that we're not reaching our full potential. And there's a notion, look, Buddhism started with the Four Noble Truths. It was the first teaching the Buddha gave. So we kind of probably need to go back to the very foundations. The foundation is not saying all is bliss, all is perfect. We're going to go to heaven after we die and live on a cloud with our harp for eternity. Buddhism says the human condition is challenging. Our lives are difficult. We have stress. We have anxiety. We have concerns and worries about ourselves, our own welfare, those of our society, our loved ones. But we all have inner fears, that I'm going to die, or I could get a dread disease, or I'm going to lose my job, or I'm having problems in my relationship, or whatever it is. So the Buddha said that. He condensed it. He said, there is suffering in the world. It was a very noble, honest, direct thing to say. Instead of saying everything is groovy and great, he started off with this very sobering thought. Like, let's acknowledge life is hard. Yes, there's happiness. There's lots of joy. There's all these great things. He and Buddhism's not denying that. But fundamentally, we have to understand something. Whatever happiness we have doesn't really last. Even if you're in love, it changes, or your spouse dies, or your beloved pet that you're in love with, that you just love, will die at some point and will leave you. And it's going to cause agony and a lot of pain. We all have inner sense of our mortality. And we have anxiety and stress. But everything we strive to get, that's a form of suffering. We're striving, we're trying so hard. We want things. We have desires and wishes. And if we get things we want and things seem good, we know it could slip through our fingers. We know it's not going to last. We know we're going to die, and we're going to not take anything with us. So this is just not to be depressing, right? This is not to be all negative. It's just to start off with a foundation of direct, clear honesty. Okay, that's ground level. And we can say, well, that's obvious. Well, yes, it's obvious, but actually most of us kind of live in a certain level of denial. We kind of keep it at bay, or we do whatever we do to sort of push it away, or to cover it up, or to medicate ourselves. But it doesn't permanently solve our problem. So the Buddha said, we have issues. And then he said, there's causes for these. Tends to be our attachments to things, our grasping, our wanting things to be different than they are. If we had total acceptance, total contentment, we probably wouldn't need to meditate. Meditation's a path to kind of move us towards that, you could say. So we have suffering, which is the translation that's commonly used for what the Buddha taught in another language, Pali, which was translated into Sanskrit, which eventually became translated into everything: Zen, Japanese, Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese, and Tibetan, of course, and so on and so forth, and now English. But so we call it suffering. But we have to understand it just means really, you could say, dissatisfaction, the unsatisfactoriness of our life on a very deep level. And there's a reason for that. But then he said two more things. Those are the first two things he said. There's this dissatisfaction, and there's causes for it. So we understand we're not just being victimized randomly by the universe. There are causes, and they're due to the habits of our mind, having expectations and so on, and desires and etc. But then he said, there's actually an end of suffering, sometimes translated as nirvana or enlightenment, something like that. So we could say, well, actually, there is a goal. It's not just that we're just floundering around. There's an end. There can be an end. We can put an end to this dissatisfaction. And then fourthly, he said, there's a path. The path is meditation, study, opening the heart, developing a true loving sense of self and compassion and kindness. And that's kind of our journey. So you're asking about kind of the last of the four thoughts. You're saying, well, what is the journey? So I have to go, well, yes, we're going to talk about the journey, but we really need to start with from the beginning. So essentially, that's what you're asking. So this is like maybe the first video if someone's going to watch and try to understand something fundamental about what is Buddhism and then what is Buddhist meditation. So we start with kind of contemplating those four thoughts, actually. You can read it a little bit about it. You can think it over, mull it over, not just for a few minutes, but repeatedly. And you can get different sort of interpretations or explanations that might help you.
Can you tell me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, can you tell me again the four in so simpler? So there is suffering.
There's a cause to suffering,
there's
causes,
a cause to suffering.
Understanding the causes.
Understanding
There's an end.
There's an
and
end.
there's a path
And
that leads to the end. So they're very sort of simple, but yet at the same time, very profound. The point is we start with some kind of notion of the big picture. There's a further four contemplations that are traditionally taught in Tibetan Buddhism, which is frankly my background and what I need to pass on to people, because I feel it's very important, and it's what I received. All I do is try to give back what I've received, not trying to make anything new up. I'm not smart enough or creative enough for that, so we'll just leave it at that. So, what are these four further thoughts? They are, we say, that this life that we have as human beings, we're fellow human beings here watching this video, right? It's a precious opportunity. It's unusual and it's rare. It's rare in the sense of, if we think of all sentient beings, insects through the fish in the sea and the birds and reptiles and mammals and on and on and on. Humans are a very, very small slice of the pie. So to be born, to have the sort of, we could say, the causes and the karma, to be born as a human being is actually, if we kind of step back and look at the big picture of all sentient life, to be born as a human being is quite rare. And if something's rare, that means it's kind of precious. So instead of taking our life for granted and not thinking it's anything special or big deal, and then sort of wasting our life or just kind of living frivolously, it's important to start with this kind of appreciation that, oh, there is something special and about this situation I have. And I've got my sense faculties. And I was born in a time and a culture where there is access to authentic Dharma or spiritual teachings that can ultimately lead to the end of suffering, the end of dissatisfaction, the end of anxiety, self-improvement or self-even perfection. So we were born in a time and a culture, a civilization, a situation where we're not dodging bombs, we're not in starvation mode or famine, where we are just in survival mode. We have what we say some leisure, which is very special and unique. And out of all the humans on the planet, not very many have the kind of situation that we have. So, and then to have the sort of clear mind that can understand teachings, have access to these teachings, and have some appreciation for these teachings, all these things taken as a whole. And also, I should say, throughout, let's say, the millions of years that there's been hominids, humans, or human-like sentient beings on this planet, the amount of times where there was actually a truly fully enlightened being, a Buddha, appearing and then giving, sort of shedding light and pointing the finger at true teachings for humanity is very rare. So we have a very unique situation. That's the very first contemplation, is the uniqueness of my situation. So don't waste it. They say, there's a kind of an old Tibetan saying, it's realizing this would be like, and not putting it to use, not trying to fulfill our potential, is kind of like a merchant going to an island full of jewels, full of gems and jewels, and then leaving the island empty-handed, not bringing some back with him or her. Just a big sort of waste of an opportunity. So that's the very first thought, precious human birth. The next is that this life we have is very, very short, very temporary. It's fleeting, it's changing all the time. And the causes of really us leaving our body, of us dying, are many. It's amazing and almost miraculous we're still alive when we wake up in the morning, that we didn't die in our sleep, because we could have a stroke or heart attack, or so many things, to all the things that keep our body sustained, keep us alive and breathing, it's actually somewhat amazing, because people die all the time. People do drop dead in their sleep. People do get hit by a car. People do end up with cancer, or, again, not to be depressing, but to kind of stimulate us, or kind of wake us up and spur us on and go, okay, yes, I have a precious opportunity and I shouldn't take it for granted, because it's impermanent. It could, all the conditions that have come together to allow me to actually practice an authentic path that can really help me perfect myself, really rare and really fragile in a sense. So that's the first two thoughts. The third thought then would be,
I think that's a really important one. I think that a lot of people, I'll include myself, tend to think they're never going to die, that they're going to live forever. There's that saying, I think it's Latin, memento mori, to remember that you will die. I just think that it's just so crucial, that one, because you forget all the time, or I forget all the time. I think many people probably do as well.
I think everyone tends to. It's easy just to lapse into sort of almost denial. We're busy living our lives. Who wants to sit and stop and contemplate our mortality and the fact that we're going to die? It sounds rather depressing, doesn't it? So it's understandable. But I'm saying, if you're embarking on a sort of spiritual journey,
it's invigorating too, because then you have to live.
The whole point is we're trying to wake up. And what I'm trying to get at here, Tal, is these four thoughts. Each of them is equally important, actually. And they just all need to be kind of taken somewhat seriously and at least contemplated. So precious human life, this precious opportunity, the fact that it's fleeting and impermanent and fragile. And then the third is that we have a situation we call karma, which in the Buddhist understanding, as in the West, there's some different sort of interpretations of what that word means. But it means that everything has causes. Everything that happens has had innumerable causes that have led to it, to things happening. Things don't just happen completely randomly in this universe with no cause. Everything has a cause, many causes, and we don't have to understand what they are because we can't track them all down. But we can start to understand that, in other words, how we think, how we behave, and so on, has outcomes, has results. So we say causes and results. That's actually almost a literal, that's a definition of karma. And the Tibetan word for karma is a word that's, in the Tibetan word is lei, but it literally means actions. So our actions have consequences. That means we're not victims. There's not some higher power that somehow is going to bail us out or help us. It means we have responsibility, personal responsibility. It means we can intentionally and consciously make, and we do make choices. And knowing that we have choices, we can make better choices. We can think more positive and virtuous thoughts, which is taught that's what leads to our sort of sense of happiness. And we can try to not indulge selfish and self-centered kinds of thinking and actions, because those do inevitably lead to karmic consequences that lead to guilt, guilty conscience, inner pain, our own suffering. So and that's a very nuanced thing, and it's a huge, huge topic. So I'm just skimming the surface here tonight. But the point is that is something that is worthy of a lot of contemplation. And ideally, that leads us to sort of improve our behavior, because part of being Buddhism is not just, again, meditating to get rid of your headaches. It's to become the best version of ourselves we can be. So that's the third thought. And then the fourth thought or contemplation is that all the things that most people think is going to give us happiness, meaning a new car or, material things, relationships, family, all the conventional things we think give us happiness, actually can be the causes of our own suffering, because they will disappoint us. They don't last. They're not permanent in any sense. And they're sort of something separate or outside of ourselves. So we call that this world, the world that we inhabit, the world of dualism, dualistic thinking, where there's a sense of there's me, somehow inside here, in here is a me. And then there's everything else outside myself that I'm separate from. We call that samsara. And it's called like a wheel that turns. And sometimes you're at the top of the wheel and things seem pretty good, but then there's a decline, or things fall away or break or get lost or whatever. And we're down at the bottom and we're suffering, and we come back up, and we call this hope and fear, hope and fear. We are constantly cycling through, even in the course of a day. We are sometimes up, sometimes down. We get our hopes up, and then they get we can maybe get disappointed. And it's a continual journey. And we say it's almost like getting dizzy, like spinning out of control. So what is the path of meditation that we're moving towards here in this discussion? It's to develop a sense of consistency, of sort of self-mastery, you could say, where our minds aren't so random, aren't so helter-skelter, are not jerking us around, and we start to not buy into our thinking so much. We start to see through, and we start to develop a true sense of the steady, calm, peaceful, and wise, and open-hearted being that we really are. So those are the four contemplations we say. We say traditionally in Tibetan, it's translated as the four thoughts that turn the mind. It means turn the mind, turn our thinking away from just self-centered, selfish thinking about the world, and thinking in a bigger, broader, more lofty, more profound way. That's the context. So before we even meditate, it's actually really important to spend some time. And even while we're in a process of learning how to meditate over weeks and months, we can still contemplate these things a few minutes a day or whatever. There's books you can read about it. You can watch YouTube videos. You can learn these things. And again, they're not particularly difficult concepts. They're actually quite simple and basic and, kind of, you could say, spiritual common sense. We need to contemplate these things to really get the common sense of it and really kind of deeply make it our own understanding. But you have to test it and see for yourself. Is it true? Is it true that our life is fragile and impermanent? Is it true that it's kind of a rare opportunity? Is it true that everything has causes and results, consequences? Is it true that all the things that we think are going to give us happiness can ultimately lead to certain kinds of frustration or dissatisfaction or some form of anxiety or stress or suffering? We should find out for ourselves. We don't take a teacher's word for it. Certainly don't take my word for it. Don't even take the Buddha's word for it. Then the Buddha himself said that. So this is about self-empowerment. We should find out, figure these things out, learn these things, experience them for ourselves.
I think that a lot of people don't know that about Buddhism, Buddhist meditation. I don't think that most people realize that that's what it's maybe not ultimately about, but it's part of the path, right?
Well,
Self-improvement.
I don't know, but that's why we're doing this video. That's why I'm trying to teach this. So this is the straight poop. This is what it is. This is traditional, true teaching, not just, some sort of new age interpretation or wishful thinking or saying the Buddha said this or the Buddha said that. This is as authentic as can be. So we contemplate these things. After we do that, traditionally, again, at least in the Tibetan system, maybe a few prayers are said, acknowledging sort of our place in this journey and our appreciation, acknowledgement of these truths, of the, you could say, the kindness of the Buddha for teaching these to humanity. And then actually, in a way, more just as important or more importantly, we make an aspiration in our heart. May my meditation, may my practice, may my study benefit all beings. It's a very big intention. This isn't just, may my meditation get rid of my migraine headaches. May my meditation give me good karma so that I have enough money to retire comfortably. It's not like that. We think, may I wake up, may I really, truly develop who I am so that I have the skills, the tools, the understanding, the compassion, and the generosity of spirit to benefit all beings. All beings. Not just human beings, all sentient beings. And if I'm honest, I'm not capable of doing that at this point. I still default into self-centered thinking, of course. I'm sure we all do. But we make an aspiration. May I start to develop the capacity, my potential, to be so caring, so loving, so giving, so open-hearted, that I don't forget that all beings are just like me. All beings are suffering. All beings have stress and anxiety and worries. All beings want their loved ones to be safe and happy and are concerned for their welfare. And may I contribute. May I be a solution. May I wake up my intelligence and my heart. So I can really be a force for a positive force. That's what it's all about. So we make that intention. And I always think that's bringing the wind into your sails. That's bringing the wind into your sails so you can move forward. Then we can embark on meditation. There's different systems where you can expel some stale breath, take some nice deep breaths through the nose. Traditionally, in Tibetan Buddhism and most Buddhist traditions, the eyes are open. Many of you who are new to meditation, learn it in a yoga studio or something, you're taught to close your eyes. We're not trying to go to sleep. If your eyes are closed, it is easier, especially for
It's the
beginners.
opposite. You try to wake up.
For beginners, especially, if your eyes are closed, it's easy to get seduced by your thoughts. It's easy to get lost. It's easy to, or even fall asleep literally, or get into some kind of, almost like a dream or some kind of a movie that you're making up in your mind. So if your eyes are open, just relaxed and open, there's a sense it's a good reminder. I'm present. I am here. I'm not off in la la land. You know, again, just different types of meditation. Some you try to, quote, bliss out. Buddhism's not trying to bliss out. We're trying to be present. It's a very grounding. If your eyes are open, it's very grounding. It's very humbling because you're not in some heaven or something. You're just here. You're just here in this world. And that's where we want to be, honestly. Where else is there to be? Let's be fully here, fully present, fully now. So then we can get to technique. We've talked about this over many months now in different videos. Traditionally, we start by just observing the breath, learning how to be an observer, objective observer, not reading into it, not trying to change it, but just watching it. And the reason is the mind will generate thoughts. It will get distracted. It will get lost. And if we have a focus of something like the breath, when we realize or remember that we're distracted, we have something to come back home to. We come back to the breath, come back to observing it. It's grounding. It's our anchor. It keeps us, keeps our boat in one place, bobbing on the waves of the ocean, but not drifting here and there. So when we're inhaling, we notice we're inhaling. We just notice it without judgment, without, thinking it's good or bad. It's neutral. Breath is neutral. It's emotionally neutral. When we're exhaling, we just notice, we observe. In some schools, it's labeled. Or when we notice a thought, we label it. We go, oh, that's a thought, or I'm thinking. In the way I teach, the way I was taught, we don't even need to do that. We simply watch and keep coming back and staying with, or you could say riding, like riding a horse, riding the breath, just watching it. This is how it's done. We develop patience because when you meditate, you get impatient. Your ego wants to jump up. It doesn't want to just sit still. Your mind will tell you, this is boring. Your mind will tell you, this is a waste of time. Your mind will tell you, I have important things to do. The meditator learns to just see those thoughts. Oh, there's that thought again telling me I'm wasting my time. There's that thought again telling me I have better things to do, that kind of thing. And it does take time. After, let's say, months of doing this as a pretty much daily practice, truly a discipline, you get better and better at staying present, staying closer to the breathing, to observing the breathing, less prone to being distracted or getting distracted for so long. And the mind starts to, it just settles down. The thoughts aren't so intensely distracting. They're not so dramatic. And you can start to just let them go, not take them seriously, not let them jerk you around. You're just present. You're just here with your breath. The mind gets calm, quieter. And that's a good starting point. That's the starting point right there. When the mind finally, consistently starts to really get calmer, then the fun begins, because then we can actually start to use that calm mind to start to wake up your wisdom, so to speak. Which means at that point, we start to be able to look at thoughts, kind of deconstruct them or understand them. What is a thought? What's it made from? Where does it come from? Where does it go? How does it affect me? What is the relationship of a thought that I have, that I believe in, that's important to me? What's the relationship between that and me? And even more importantly, who am I? Deeply, truly, who am I? Am I this person that has this identity and these parents and speaks this language and grew up in this certain society and has certain likes and dislikes and has, all these stories and stuff and memories and dreams and hopes for the future? Is that who I am at the deepest level, or is that more of kind of a superficial level? Well, who am I at the deepest level? What does that mean? Because ultimately, the path of Buddhism is to become a Buddha. And a Buddha, we may discover, is a universal being. So we may become, or we may discover that at our deepest level, we're a universal being, meaning someone who is free of identifying with sort of personality level stuff. And if we're free of all that stuff, maybe we're free to totally be spontaneous and present fully and fully awake and, have these sort of untapped potential that we can start to experience. We don't know. But that's the journey. Then at the end of our meditation, and I'm talking about each day or each morning or whenever we do it, each session, we dedicate the merit. That's kind of the phrase that's used. Dedicate the merit. It means the fact that we spent some time at least trying to meditate was a virtuous thing. That was time well spent. It was we had positive intention. And instead of patting ourselves on the back and being all self-congratulatory, oh, I'm so great. I spent this time doing this wonderful thing, good for me. I get a gold star. Instead of that, we actually can make an aspiration that says, may all beings actually benefit from this time that I attempted to use positively. So think about it. We have a meditation sandwich. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The two slices of bread, and then the filling in the middle. The first slice, the beginning of our meditation, is those prayers of, may I do this to benefit all beings. Then we meditate. Then at the end, we say, well, whatever I did, At least I made a good attempt. May that benefit all beings. Sort of like the bookend, or the kind of going back to the beginning. So it's called sealing the practice, that you seal the practice. So that's the structure. You asked, and then you asked some other questions, Tal. You asked about posture and so on. I'll simply say, because I think we probably don't have time tonight right now, but there is a lot of teaching about the importance of posture, being as upright as possible. The most important thing is keep your spine as straight as possible. Don't slouch and slump, and don't lean to one side, but try to sit as what we say with a sense of dignity. So good, strong, good, healthy posture, shoulders relaxed. The head's not up, the head's not down, the head is straight forward. The eyes are open and relaxed. You're breathing normally but through your nose, not through your mouth. Your legs are crossed in a comfortable way. There's different ways to cross your legs. But for many Americans that aren't used to sitting cross-legged for long periods of time, you don't have to worry about lotus, posture, having your legs completely crossed. They can be loosely crossed, whatever you can do. It's good to have some kind of a pillow or a cushion under your butt. It actually helps to lift your spine up and straighten your spine. And that's pretty much it.
What about where should your hands be?
On your hands, that's a good question. There's a couple options. So traditionally, you put the right hand on top of the left hand. I know we're using a camera, so it might look opposite to you. Thumbs touch, and this is in your lap. So just in your lap. This is a traditional sort of Zen Japanese style. So the right hand on top of the left, right on top of left, palms and thumbs together, and then in your lap. The other style, let me see if I can change the direction. I'm wearing shorts, but if you can see this, I don't know if you can quite see this, but the hands can just be gently resting on the knees.
Okay.
And that's a yogic kind of position too. It's very comfortable and relaxed. So the first way was like this, but just resting in your lap. The other way is like this. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong or better or worse. It's not about, one's going to help you get enlightened and the other isn't. Do what's comfortable for you. In the future, you can always change, or you can switch them around. It doesn't really matter, especially for beginners. Not so important. The important thing is our mind. The important thing is our focus.
Right. So if you have a scratch, itch it. If you have an itch,
we're not trying to be so stoic that we're going to be uncomfortable and we're sitting there thinking about the itch for 10 minutes. Better just
you can focus on the itch if you
just it's fine. The important thing is relax your body, relax your mind, but also have a sense of not being just so loose that the whole thing falls apart. You want a sense of uprightness, dignity, but also relaxed, stable. You want to feel stable. Again, the pillow under your butt, having your crossed legs really helps.
The pillow under the butt really helps too. I've noticed when I don't do it, it's a big difference.
Yes, absolutely. So whatever works for the individual. Hey, and if you're somebody, whether you're older or not, but you've got a bad back, you don't feel you can sit on the floor, you can sit in a chair. Again, the important thing is your mind, and keep your body as comfortable as possible so it's not a source of irritation or distraction.
A lot of modern non-Buddhist meditation will have you lay down, and that's like the opposite of what you want to do, right?
Well, it's not traditional in the Tibetan system. No, we don't lay down, because that's going to probably cause you to fall asleep. I mean, if you have to lay down because you literally can't be comfortable any other way, yes, go for it. We don't tell anybody there's only one way or something, but 99.5% of the time, you don't lay down, you sit up and you practice like that. And I tell people, as I taught you many months ago, start small. Just start with a few 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you're capable of. It's good to challenge yourself a little bit, but not so much that you kind of burn yourself out or get frustrated. So find that spot. Then as the weeks go by, you can add a minute or a couple minutes each week, something, whatever works for you, and work towards a goal, whether it's 25, 30 minutes a session. And even an hour you can work up towards at some point, 45 minutes. That's a lot. I don't recommend that for beginners. So beginners can burn out.
Consistency is what you always tell me.
Say again, please.
And consistency is more important than you always tell me.
That's exactly. Just stay consistent. Things come up in our lives, especially beginners, easy to get derailed. It's easy to make excuses. But that's why the contemplations at the beginning, why I spend some time talking about that. If we really think about the impermanence of our life and the preciousness of this opportunity that this life gives us, that's a good motivator. That should help us get out of bed 10 minutes earlier each morning. That's why we contemplate those kinds of things. It takes effort. And it also is helpful sometimes to think, there are hundreds of thousands of people around the planet that are also getting up before daylight or getting up a little bit extra early when they really do want to stay in bed because they know this is beneficial for themselves and for all sentient beings. So sometimes it's helpful to remind ourselves, I'm not alone, and so on. You can take a quick cold shower with a cold rinse to wake yourself up. You can make yourself a cup of tea or coffee, whatever your thing is. But a little caffeine's not a terrible thing. It's a good thing. We want to be alert and clear-headed. So do whatever it takes. But the context, understanding life is fragile and that I do suffer. I do have stress. I do have anxiety. I do have inner fears and concerns. I have had experiences in the past where I've lost my best friend, my pet, my lover, a parent, a sibling, and it really sucks that suffering, when I'm not suffering, when things seem like they're going okay, it's easy to go, yeah, no big deal. I can handle everything. But when we're really suffering, we'll do anything to get out of it. And we're going to die. We're going to say goodbye to everything and everyone that we care about and love and hold dear, and our own bodies. And we're going to probably have some pain. And, it's not easy. So while we're here, while we're alive, while we're present, while we're capable, that's at least for 10, 15, 30 minutes a day, do something really proactively positive for ourselves. And there's almost nothing better than meditation.
Thank you, Lama Dawa.
Okay.
And
everyone watching, thank you. And again, as I said in the beginning, if you would like to join us sometime on Zoom, we can answer your questions specifically. Also, feel free to submit them and so on. But thank you one and all, and see you next time, hopefully.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.